Welcome to another Wednesday Wisdom. And today I want to talk to you about a little bit about bookkeeping versus accounting. Now, let's say you've been in business for a little while, or maybe you just got started. So we're looking at what do you need when you get started and what do you need as your business grows. And I want to talk to you. I think there's so much misconception of what a business needs when you actually open up the doors, depending on the complexities of your business, right? So let's talk a little bit about what bookkeeping actually is. So if we go back in time, bookkeeping, or the process of recording the financial transactions in ledgers or in anything else, has been practiced for various, in various types of forms and fashion for many centuries now. And in the United States, I think the modern bookkeeping just began to emerge in the late 19th and 20th century. And this became a more of a complex form when the development of different applications and software to handle bookkeeping. Because business became more complex, businesses grew, they had a lot of partnerships and all this, customers, distant locations in various different forms. And being such a large country with so many various different things between states, the evolution of software in bookkeeping has really grew tremendously. And we have to look at, how did this begin? Like, how do we go from where we are right now or where we were, let's say 50 years ago for where we are now? You get started as a business owner, and the only thing you need is I need to know how much cash do I have. I need to know how much revenue am I bringing in. I need to know my profit. This is really what people are asking about. Like, this is the main piece that everybody's interested. So when you talk about bookkeeping is really the process of just recording everything in, you can call it ledgers or journals. And I want to take you back in time. So I remember when I learned accounting, we actually had to learn it in journals. So we had a sales journal that was an actual piece, like an actual ledger that you would write things in. Then it was, the payroll journal that you would write that in. So we had all these types of journals. And the bookkeeping would be just recording everything in every journal. Like, we made a contribution, that was a pension contribution, that was a 401k, you would put it in the journal and then it would be translated into financial statements. So if you start back to how was it on paper and how do we understand that we're using a piece of software, it really makes a big difference. So what's my point with this? Is I want you to understand at what point in time do you need to have an accountant and where do you need a bookkeeper? Do you need both? Do you not need a bookkeeper, just an accountant? Like, there's so many questions. People say, this is such an interrelated term, yet they're so distinct that I want you to understand what each one of them does. So when you begin, you have to think of it like this. So let's say I'm building a house and you have an architect to actually design how the house is going to look. And then you have all the people, you have the contractors coming in, putting in the foundation, putting in the walls. That's plugging it in. That's transactional. It's administrative. That they just do they just plug in everything to really build the house that the architect designed. Okay. Now, many of the owners that I know, they skip the design part. They get a software and they believe the software is going to do all that design for them. And in some cases it does. And if you're not simplistic, but if your industry is simple, meaning you're in service delivery, or you have a very simple in and out process, it's not very complex, not many different, variations, the software can definitely handle that. Many times it can handle it. And then a bookkeeper just comes in. The bookkeeper is the contractor that comes in and builds the pieces of the house to make sure that you have all the transactions in the right place. Now, if you have a more complex business, and not necessarily business, but the industry you're in manufacturing, you need to track inventory, you have cost of goods, you track revenue by jobs, you do cost accounting, project accounting. All these various types of forms need an architect to actually architect the structure. You're going to have the bookkeeper plugging in the information. And again, that's why you see a lot of various industries that have their own proprietary software that they sell to the other, like in manufacturing, for example, or in different types of, sales and e-commerce, they have their own systems that they create specifically for that industry, for that niche, that it's designed to work for them. So what I want you to really decide, and the purpose of me doing this video today, and I want you to be educated. Do I need a bookkeeper? Right? And the bookkeeper is literally meant, or the purpose of a bookkeeper is to make sure every single journal, every single ledger is accurate and on time. That means all the sales are recorded, all the costs, the expenses are recorded, all my payroll is recorded on time. Everything that's in and out, it's recorded. Right? They would go in every month, they reconcile, make sure it's like reconciling your bank account, like back in the day when we used to do it by hand, right? In the back of your checkbook, or in the back of your, whatever you used to do it, in the bank statement, you used to do the reconciliation of the account. Make sure that every single charge that's in your, or income deposit that's in your bank statement actually shows up in the journals. So you just check it off. Right? So that's really the purpose of a bookkeeper. Now, let's switch a little bit and see, when do you need an accountant? So an accountant is the person who would actually compile the financial statements. But you might say, wait, my QuickBooks, my Xero, whatever you're using, is already doing that for me. But like most of the bookkeepers that I know did not know how to read a balance sheet. They might look at the P&L, they don't understand, hey, is this supposed to be income? Is this supposed to be cost of goods? So if that's the case, if you feel that your P&L does not look, it's like, no, I don't really have that. Do you see your general expenses? Can you pull how much is your fixed cost just by looking at the P&L? Do you see how much is the variable cost? Do you see how much it costs you to deliver what you're delivering, the products or the service that you deliver? So if that's not showing on your P&L, that means you missed the architecture part, which that's done by an accountant, right? And you just jumped in to a bookkeeper to just transactionally record all the data into your QuickBooks software. Okay, now the balance sheet is a completely different story, because balance sheet is many times, like I think more than 90% of the times that we look at books, balance sheet is off. Is off by what? Either loans are not reported, either there's a lot of loan to partners from partners, and that there's no record of any of that. The balance sheet does not match the tax returns. The equity doesn't match. Our clients are saying, why do I show retained earnings or equity in the business of $700,000? Where's the cash? I didn't take the cash out. Or I show I have $3 million, where I should have $10 million, in the retained earnings. And this is a cue for you that you missed something in the process of recording your financial transactions. So it's a very distinct way. Every business needs a level of bookkeeping. And I think bookkeeping becomes a little bit more automated as we move along, because we can automate some things. The AI is there, but not fully there to really recognize all these pieces. But bookkeeping can be, it's the most tedious out of all, right? Because it involves recording all of it, make sure all the data comes in, everything to be accurate. So when you go into books, if the data is missing, that's a bookkeeping. If your financial statements do not look right to you, you don't know what they're telling you, that's an accounting, issue. There's an accounting gap in what you have. And that's going to be something different than getting your taxes done. It's going to be something different than, hey, I just need my tax done, get my financial statements, look at my QuickBooks and file my taxes. So I want you to have a clear distinction. Where is bookkeeping for me? What do I need? Every business needs a level of bookkeeping. Where is accounting, and what do I need? Where is the gap in what I have? And I told you just a couple of cues when you see what gaps do you think you have. If you think your P&L is wrong, bottom line, my income is not right, expenses don't look right, that's a bookkeeping thing. Financial statements don't look good. You look at the balance sheet, I'm like, I have no idea what this is saying. I have no idea if this is right. This equity looks totally off. That's an accounting error, right? You have a gap there. Something hasn't been done. And one of the pieces that I really want you to understand is that in the beginning, you don't need an accountant every month to come and look at your books, but you might need one to set up the structure. Number one. Number two, you at least need, at the minimum, once a year, a review and someone to make sure the integrity of the data, the financial statements, at least see, does it make sense? Does the financial statement tell the same story, or you say the same story that you say about your business, right? So if you're saying, no, we're doing so good, we have excess cash, we have all of this, and we're looking at the balance sheet, I'm like, that's a different story. So that means something is off. Either your story or the books. So many times it's just books. So those are a few cues for you to see, and as you grow, you might need, the bookkeeper will still stay in place. You will always need a bookkeeper. As businesses grow, we see many times that a bookkeeping job that usually it's outsourced gets to become an in-house job. 99% of the time, by the time you reach 2 million, 3 million, 5 million, you will have someone in-house, an admin person that will pick up some of the those bookkeeping tasks, and then you will need an accountant more often. So you can move to quarterly, then you move to monthly, and there's times where you need weekly accountant to take a look at your financials depending on what needs do you have. So I hope this is helpful. I would love to know, do you have a bookkeeping gap? Do you have an accounting gap? Right? I would love to know, what's your story? What do you feel? Do you feel like you know the difference, or do you feel like you're missing a little bit on both sides? So let me know in the comments. Let me know how you're doing. And, I hope this is helpful. Let me know if you want to hear more about any of these tasks or any of this topics that I discussed today. Anything you want to know about accounting and bookkeeping, I would love you to be knowledgeable and know when you need help, when you don't need help. All the best. Have a great week. I'll see you next Wednesday.